Hello everybody and welcome back for another episode of Indie Impressions. My name is Nick and today we're going to be checking out a very cool, very alpha game called Tiny Wizard by developer Kebab Skull. This is a procedural death labyrinth, which I guess is kind of the genre adaptation that we've decided these types of games seem to belong within. But I think a lot of people who really enjoyed the idea of games like Binding of Isaac or A Wizard's Lizard or Our Darker Purpose are going to definitely enjoy this quite a bit, even in its very early form. Now, Tiny Wizard was actually originally created as part of the LD competition. I think it was a couple years back. I'm not sure exactly which competition it was off the top of my head, but the developer actually produced a very playable, fun little addictive game and decided it's going to be time now to kind of readapt that to something a little bit more artistically pleasing and perhaps a little deeper and more engaging. So I played a few rounds of Tiny Wizard. I think you guys are going to love it. It looks a little daunting from the title screen here. There's like a lot of options and things going on, or a lot of controls rather, but I don't think it's going to actually become much of an encumbrance. This stuff is fairly straightforward, honestly. So why don't we just jump into things and we'll figure it out as we go. Keeping in mind, again, this is very early. There isn't even any music and very little sound effects and stuff, but the gameplay is solid enough. So each room is made up of a number of creatures, which we must obviously overcome and take out. As we clear each room, we'll earn money. We've also got some items that are going to show up from time to time, and there's pots to smash and such. Whatever that was, some kind of moccasins, I guess, gave me creep now, so when I walk, it's going to leave a trail behind me that I can use to kill enemies with. And there's actually a surprising number of items already implemented. You'll probably notice also there is a hotbar down at the bottom on the very left, and I'm taking like a lot of damage here, but it's okay because I expect to die fairly quickly. And also pardon any clacking if my mouse or keyboard do that. I'm going to try my best not to be too heavy-handed here on the keyboard. But yeah, we've got a L, which is our wizard's staff. That's going to be what's casting these missiles, or magic missiles, I should say. Then we've got on 1 a laser, classic wizard spell. I'll probably just use this on the next room here. Some kind of eye, I'm not really sure what that upgraded us with. I'm going to use my number, that was my number 3 actually, which I think speeds up my shot speed for a moment. Number 2 is a big ol' explosive shrapnel spell, which is pretty useful if you're getting overcome, sort of like a multi-directional shotgun. And let's get close to something and use number 4 as well. Well, there's only one freaking bat here, but you know, there we go. Arcane Rain, so it shoots out a bunch of homing missiles that we can use when we get in a tough position. I've got plenty of magic, and my magic actually regens, so I don't feel terrible about using too much of that stuff at first. Now, you'll notice there is a power-up here that is enclosed entirely, but we do also have, if I use No, I don't have any. Never mind. There's bombs, but I can't blow that open right now, so that's locked in. We've gotten a second staff, which we can actually now double tap to basically fire off a number of shots extra. And if you're wondering also how I'm aiming and such, the controls are basically just mouse and keyboard, WASD, and then wherever I'm pointing is where I'm shooting. There isn't really a reticle in the game at this point, but that's kind of not that big of a deal. It feels fairly easy to manipulate what's going on. I think one thing, though, that'll really do a lot to help, and this is probably in the works, I mean, I don't know 100%, but it seems like it would be a fairly obvious inclusion, is to have this work as sort of a dual-stick, 360 controller-supported twin-stick shooter, and, you know, that right now, actually, you can control your character with the left stick on the 360 controller, but I don't see any firing implemented yet. So that was an accuracy upgrade. As you saw, it popped on the screen for like a split second. I guess if you're paying a lot of attention, you can kind of catch what some of those effects are, but they don't all seem to pop up for some reason. I'm not quite sure why that is. Maybe that's something that's still being worked on. I've also seen on the developer's blog there seems to be some possible upgrades in the terms of like having stat-focused skill progression, maybe. There's going to be some leveling stuff going on, which is going to be pretty cool to see. And maybe even a small degree of customization, which could really go a long way into making this really entertaining. But as it stands already, like I said, this is very playable. The graphics look lovely, the controls work fine. It's exciting, it feels good to play. Like when you shoot things, the explosions and everything have this nice particulate matter shooting out of them. Things have a little bit of a nice impact. There's actually some screen shake on every single time you fire. So, you know, it all feels really like it's coming along very well. I'd love to blow into that and get that coffee cup, but nope, doesn't seem to be in the cards for us. We've got plenty of money as well, so it's really just Unfortunate that we can't get in there. I'm not really sure where I could find some bombs, but I'm hoping maybe one of these pots or something is going to contain them. I'm also wondering, as seems to be often the case with these types of games, the developers tend to often implement like multiple starts or types of character that you can play as with slightly different loadouts. And I'm kind of thinking that could be really fun to do in something like this as well. Also curious to see how the progression stacks up in terms of, like, will we eventually reach a new area? Will the generally pink pervasive aesthetic give way to some other type of gameplay, or a look, rather? And right now, it seems like, as far as I've been able to see, it's just that. But I also haven't gotten super far, so maybe if I continue on, there could be some surprises in store. There's a pretty angry-looking enemy going on down there, which I'm going to spam with some fire, and I don't know what that item is that shot out of it. Seems to get embedded in the wall. I've had that happen a couple times, too, where things will just kind of clip through stuff. Not the end of the world or anything, but definitely something that would hopefully get ironed out in the future. The enemies generally are mostly kind of passive. I think the way that difficulty happens is often in the way of having a lot of enemies on screen at once, which, since I have a lot of tools to deal with that kind of thing, doesn't seem too bad. I just have been kind of lazy in using them all. It's weird because there's kind of like a too good to use syndrome sometimes with using hotkey items, even in this case, when there isn't really a cooldown or much of any penalty for using them, which is kind of strange. We can also drop, I want to drop some stuff. How do I do that again? I forget. There we go. I pressed E, and now I've got a different type of, okay, so it's like a faster paced wand, and I'm going to die, so that's going to happen in about a second. And there we go, craptastic. You are quite dead indeed. Press enter to restart. So let's see, does it actually put us back right into the game? No, it brings us back to the main menu. There's also X to switch hands, which I never really got to make use of. But you know what? I'm going to keep this a very short episode. I think this is a very cool game. I think a lot of you guys are going to hopefully enjoy it. I want to know if you do, and I want you to go ahead and download the current build of it, which at the time of recording is 0.07 or 0.0.7a. So a very early alpha, if I could tell by that abbreviation there. But yeah, let me know in the comments. Tell me what you think. I'd love to hear some opinions. Give some feedback to the developer in case he or she ever actually catches this video. It'd be very interesting to see perhaps a discussion that could happen from that. What do you think might make this better? What's already good about it? I feel like there's quite a few things quite good about it, but, you know, feel free to chime in for your own. And if you find any really cool items, maybe let me know that as well, because I'd like to know maybe what the total amount that are already implemented is. I didn't get a very good sense of that from this particular run, but in prior runs I've gotten, I think, maybe 6 or 7 different items already. So, looks like some really good stuff, and I'm definitely interested in following this one forward. I have a feeling this could definitely be some sort of Let's Play material if the game does get fleshed out to that extent. I like the accessibility of it, as well as the very visceral kind of action-based approach, although maybe, you know, well, we're going to see how the progression ends up happening, and it's going to really shape a lot about where this trajectory ends up. Anyway, that's going to do it for another day, guys. Thank you so much for watching. As always, if you enjoyed the episode, make sure you leave a like. It really does help out a lot. So if you don't mind, it only takes a second to hit that button, and I will see you back for another one tomorrow. Links in the description for the game, and I will catch you all later.